So I've been recently playing with my bike, changing handlebar position, um, my setting position. I had forward controls on, just trying to get the bike more comfortable for longer trips. And I've been doing some experimenting, and I've made a lot of changes. And I will do an update video coming up about where I'm at right now. But part of the changes I've been making in terms of trying to chase more comfort, one of the key areas I've been adjusting is the suspension. It still amazes me today and surprises me that when I talk to people, how many people don't adjust their suspension or don't touch the suspension. And often people are riding around with the suspension settings that were on the bike when they first bought it, and they haven't touched it. Even after a couple of years of riding, they're still riding on the stock suspension settings. Now, suspension needs to be set up for your own personal weight, for what you're carrying on the bike, luggage, etc., to get optimum performance. And if you don't do that, you could have a bike that's bottoming out, or you could have a bike that's oversprung and it's just bouncing you out of the seat. So it's really well worth the time to just take a little bit of time to adjust the suspension, because it doesn't take much time at all. Now, in the case of the Chief, we really are limited. There's no adjustment on the front end. The only way you could adjust the front end really is preload. There'll probably be a spacer in the shock here, which you could put a different length spacer in to adjust the preload, or change the fork oil for different viscosity. But that's all you can really do. So I don't worry about the front. It is what it is, and it's fine. Really, the only thing I'm adjusting are the rear shocks. So this is the rear shock for the Chief Dark Horse, and unlike the Sport Chief, where you'll have compression, rebound, and preload adjustment, on the Chief Dark Horse, all you have is preload, which is adjustable via these two threaded rings right here. Now, how I measure my rear shock preload, or the amount of compression the spring's under, is I just get a pair of vernier calipers, and I measure from the bottom of this ring here, the adjustment ring here, to the bottom of the shock here, and I've got that set at 17 millimeters. And I just measure to the very last thread on the bottom of the shock there. Some more light in here wouldn't go astray, actually. Now, when adjusting my rear shock, or the preload, I measure from the bottom of this bottom ring to the very last thread on the bottom of the shock, which is this last thread just down here. Now, currently I've got them set at 17 millimeters. I was running 17.5 millimeters, and I backed it off just the other day, just 0.5 of a millimeter, which is next to nothing. And the bike started bottoming out again. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take it from the 17.5 millimeters I had. I'm going to take it up to 18. So it's going to go from 17 to 18. And I want to see if I can take out that bottoming out on the really harsh bumps, because the bottoming out really annoys me. Now, when you bought your Chief, you should have received 2 of these C spanners. Should have been with your manual. And the bottom ring or nut adjuster is just a locking nut, and this top ring is the one that is going to adjust the suspension. So the tighter, or the more we screw that on to compress the spring, the more preload we're going to have. So the heavier you are, the more tension you want to put the spring on. The lighter you are, you want to take it the other way and unscrew it to take tension out of the spring. So first I'm just going to loosen this lock nut. Now I've got that loosened, I'm just going to put some tension on the spring, turn this ring clockwise if you're facing this direction, and then I'll nip this nut up, measure till I've got 18 mil, and keep going until I've got keep adjusting until I've got 18 millimeters from the bottom of this nut down to the bottom of the shock absorber to the very last thread. That's where I've been measuring from. So let's just put some tension back on the spring. And I don't mind if I go a little bit past to 1 millimeter, because what I'll do is I'll just put some tension on, and then I'll adjust this bottom lock nut up, get my measurement, and once I've got 18 millimeters here, then I can adjust this down to say 18 millimeters and then back this off to lock it up against the nut and work that way. Don't have a lot of light today, so I might go and get some more light. I've got the camera ISO cranked up so you can see all right, but it's actually darker for me than it is for you, so just bear with me for a tick and I'll get some lighting. Okay, got some light on this end. I can see what I'm doing now. I'll set my calipers to 18 millimeters. And we'll lock them up. Then I'll know where I need to be. A little bit more. Whisker more. Like I say, it doesn't matter if I go too far, because I can just wind that top nut down. Good. Okay, so now I can wind this down. So that it's touching. I'll get there, I reckon. No, about there. So I'm going to hold. I did go too far, but I'm just going to hold that bottom lock nut now. We're going to back this off just till it locks up against that lock nut. Then I'll have my suspension exactly where I want it. Okay. Now it's touching, we can lock them up. Yep, pretty well spot on there. Now, these little C-spanners should have come with your motorcycle. If you bought it brand new, they should be in the owner's manual pouch that you would have got with the bike. If you bought your bike second hand, they may be missing. This often happens that someone forgets to put the tools back with the bike, or when the bike is sold, these get left behind. So yeah, if you bought your bike second hand, it's possible that you might be missing these. If you bought your bike brand new, these should have come with your bike. All right, what I'll do is I'll do the other side and I'll take it for a test ride tomorrow. And in the next video, I'm going to go over all the changes I've made, how I went 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and where I eventually landed with the bike. And I'll cover it all in that video. Hope that was useful. Please, please, please adjust your suspension for yourself. if you find that your bike is bottoming out, and bottoming out means that you hit a bump and you feel a thud as it gets to the bottom of the stroke of the suspension, and you just feel that thud getting kicked back up through your spine. That's bottoming out. If the spring that's too little preload. If the spring has too much preload, that is too tight, you might find that as you go over a bump, you might get popped out of the seat. And that's generally a good indication that you've got too much tension on the spring. So don't be afraid to adjust your suspension. Do some measurements. Like I said, 17 millimeters is probably a good starting point. I'm 85 kilos without my riding gear on. I'm 6'1", 85 kilos, which is 190 pounds, somewhere in there, I think. And 17 mil is a good starting point. And then you can adjust it from there. All right, hope you found this useful. Until next time, bye for now. Thanks for watching.